They never knocked. They just strode across our front lawn like they owned the deed to it, vests too tight, badges too shiny, mouths already set in that sneer men where when they think fear is a shortcut to respect. One of them hit my wife over a fence citation. I did not shout. I did not threaten. I stepped off the porch in bare feet and showed them what 15 years of SEAL training looks like when it is protecting the only home that ever mattered. Let me take you back to the morning it all started, when the worst thing on our minds was whether the climbing roses needed another inch of water. My name is Robert Brennan, 54 years old, retired Navy chief, now a project manager for a construction outfit outside Raleigh. The house sits on a quiet cul-de-sac in Willow Creek, North Carolina, the kind of street where kids still ride bikes to the pool and everybody waves whether they know you or not. The truck in the driveway is a 1995 Ford F-150, primer gray on the driver's side door where the deer won the argument last winter. It is ugly, loud, and paid for. I like it that way. My wife, Laura, teaches 3rd grade at Dogwood Elementary. She was out in the rose bed before the dew burned off, white cotton shirt freckled with last year's paint from the art room, hair twisted up with a pencil. I carried 2 mugs down the steps, light cream, 2 sugars, stirred clockwise because she insists it tastes different, and I quit arguing about small things a long time ago. We were talking about nothing important, the stray calico that adopted our garage, the crack in the bird bath, whether the new neighbors put their recycling out on the right day, when she spotted the notice. Neon orange, taped to the picket fence like a traffic ticket on a windshield. Violation. Fence exceeds allowable height by 3 inches. Escalating fines begin in 72 hours. Laura did not curse. She pulled her phone from her back pocket and started recording, slow pan, steady voice. Date, time, location. Unauthorized citation posted without prior written notice. That is Laura. Document first, argue later. I traced the top rail with my finger. I had measured it twice with a contractor's level when the first complaint came. 4 feet exactly, county code. This was not about the fence. That was when the boots hit the driveway. 2 sets, deliberate, heavy, the sound of men who wanted to be heard before they were seen. The bigger one called himself Marcus. Built like a beer keg with legs, sweat already pooling under the nylon vest that read compliance enforcement. The patch was crooked. The second guy, Darren, leaner, twitchy, kept flexing his knuckles like he had seen too many cop shows. His badge hung sideways. Marcus stopped 6 feet away. Recording during an enforcement action is prohibited. Laura kept the lens steady. This is private property. State your authority. Darren cracked his neck. You're in violation. Remove the fence or we escalate. I stepped forward just enough to be in the frame. Show me the ordinance number and your signed work order. We will wait. They did not have it. They had attitude and a script that was running out of pages. Marcus took 1 step toward Laura. Not fast, just enough to crowd her space. Last chance, ma'am. I moved between them, calm, no wasted motion. Marcus's eyes flicked to me, reassessing. Darren muttered, loud enough for the microphone. Phone doesn't make her bulletproof. That was the moment the air changed. Darren swung first, a wide, sloppy haymaker meant to intimidate more than connect. It connected. His knuckles caught Laura across the cheekbone with a sound like a green stick snapping. Her phone spun out of her hand, hit the grass, lens still rolling. She staggered, one knee buckling, blood already at the corner of her mouth. Something inside me went very still. Not rage, not yet. The kind of stillness you feel right before the breach charge blows. Marcus charged, shoulder down, bull rush. I pivoted, caught his momentum, redirected it into the porch step. Face met wood. The crack was louder than the punch. Blood poured from his nose like a faucet. Darren came in swinging wild. I let the first 2 punches whistle past, stepped inside the third, guided his face into the steel sprinkler post. Jaw met metal. He dropped, making a wet, gurgling sound that used to be words. 5 seconds. Maybe 6. I zip-tied their wrists with the ties I keep in the garage for hurricane shutters. Laura picked up her phone, screen spiderwebbed, but recording. Everything is on here, she said, voice steady even with blood on her teeth. I called 911 the way you report a down power line. Calm, precise. 2 males assaulted my wife on our property. Threat neutralized. Send medics and deputies. The first cruiser arrived in under 4 minutes. The deputy who stepped out was young, hand near his holster, eyes taking in the scene. Laura holding an ice pack to her face, 2 men bleeding on my lawn, me standing between them like a fence that had decided to bite back. He looked at Laura first. "Ma'am, are you okay to talk?" She nodded. "I have it all on video." Marcus tried to speak through the blood. "We were authorized." The deputy cut him off. "Save it for the report." While the paramedics loaded the 2 enforcers, Laura zoomed in on Marcus's phone where it had fallen. The screen glowed with a single text, time-stamped 3 minutes before the punch. "Boss says apply pressure. Use force if needed. Initial K." The neighborhood watched from behind curtains and half-open doors. Nobody came out to help the bleeding men. Nobody needed to ask whose side they were on anymore. That evening, Margaret Klein came to the door. 71 years old, retired school secretary, hands that still smelled of lemon verbena from her garden. She carried a thick manila envelope and the kind of shame that sits heavy on the shoulders. "I typed the violation notices," she said. "I thought it was just paperwork." Inside the envelope were ledger pages, photocopied, annotated in Catherine Vaughn's tight, angry handwriting. Every resident listed with a column for leverage, mortgage in arrears, kid on probation, cancer treatments, custody disputes. Our names had a star beside them. Non-compliant. Escalate. Margaret's voice cracked. She said order required pressure. I believed her until I saw Laura bleeding. The next morning, Catherine's ex-husband, Daniel Vaughn, showed up with a burner phone and a flash drive. 15 years of marriage had taught him where the bodies were buried, metaphorically and, it turned out, financially. Bank transfers from HOA reserves to a private security LLC that existed only on paper. Audio clips of Catherine drunk on gin, bragging about breaking people the way you break horses. Phase 1, fines. Phase 2, physical reminders. Phase 3, the school. The text came at 2:07 p.m. Unknown number. Your wife picks up at Dogwood Elementary, right? Dismissal is chaos at 3:15. Be smart. I showed Laura. She did not cry. She went pale the way china goes pale before it cracks. Those were her kids. We did not call the principal. We called a meeting. The community center smelled of floor wax and burnt coffee. Folding chairs filled every inch. Laura stood at the front, bruise turning purple, and played the video. The punch. The blood. The text about the children. Then Daniel played Catherine's recorded voice. Children are the ultimate leverage. The room did not erupt. It unified. Margaret moved to dissolve the HOA. The vote was unanimous. Catherine walked in halfway through, heels clicking like gunfire. "You need me," she said. "Without structure, this place falls apart." Laura looked her in the eye. "We just voted to fall apart together, on our own terms." Catherine left without another word. Phase 3 never launched. The trial was short and surgical. Judge Hargrove, a woman who had buried a son in Afghanistan, did not suffer theatrics. The video played. The ledger pages were projected larger than life. Daniel testified. Margaret testified. Catherine took the stand and said, "People require guidance. Sometimes guidance hurts." Judge Hargrove leaned forward. "Guidance without consent is tyranny, Mrs. Vaughn. 18 months probation, ankle monitor, full restitution, permanent ban from any HOA office. 200 hours community service, to be served at Dogwood Elementary, wiping tables, picking up trash, under the watchful eyes of the same parents she tried to terrorize." Catherine showed up the first day in an orange vest 2 sizes too big. She never met anyone's gaze. The children called her MS. Kathy and asked why she looked sad. She had no answer. The neighborhood healed the way old houses do, creaking, settling, stronger where the cracks were filled. Laura went back to teaching. The calico had kittens in the garage. Margaret planted roses along the new, code-compliant fence. 6 months later, a moving truck pulled up to Catherine's old house. Matte black crates, no labels. A woman in tactical pants and mirrored shades unloaded surveillance gear like she was setting up a forward operating base. She looked at the school, at our house, at the playground, and smiled the way a chess player smiles when the board is finally empty. Laura and I watched from the porch. She slipped her hand into mine. Round 2. I squeezed once. Different opponent, same rules. We protect our own. The roses bloomed redder that summer. The kittens learned to climb the porch rail. And every afternoon at 3:15, a line of parents stood at the crosswalk, phones up, eyes sharp, a quiet army that had learned what real enforcement looks like. Peace is not the absence of threat. It is the presence of people who refuse to kneel. Now it is your turn. Scroll down and tell me, when someone swings at your family, your home, your kids, where do you draw the line? Do you document and sue? Do you meet force with force? Do you walk away and hope it stops? Lay it out in the comments. No filter, no shame. The porch light is on. Speak your truth.